This is the face of someone running their first marathon on only 6 months worth of training. That same person also decided to run another marathon just 5 months later. Hey, I'm Jack, a 2-time marathoner who has a serious love for carbs. Today, I'm going to share 4 important lessons I've learned after running 2 marathons now, and why it may be worth pursuing if you're considering doing one. Let's get into it. As a member of the Indigenous Marathon Project for 2023, I went from having 0 running experience to running a marathon in just over 6 months. To anyone, 6 months can seem like a long time, and it is. Embarking on a journey where you're about to run a distance and you actually don't know if you're going to be able to make it is another story. 5.5 months saw me be able to complete a 30-kilometer run in one go, but the remaining 12 kilometers would be a stab in the dark as I boarded the flight to New York. To tell you I was doubtful would be an understatement. The entire process of analysing my training for the week ahead, preparing my gear the night before a training session, and watching as they were ticked off was something that I fell in love with. It was about making those small deposits over a long period of time. I had the little milestones of the workshops where I got to see the rest of the squad as a motivator to get me through my training. It was a very similar journey to my multiple attempts at growing different YouTube channels since I was 14 years old. But with a marathon, you have an end goal in sight. Ultimately, being able to complete the 2023 New York City Marathon was a moment of receiving that gratification, despite ending up in the medical tent just 30 minutes after I'd completed the race. The marathon is an interesting distance. I remember completing my first ever half marathon up in the Gold Coast last year, only to look back behind me after crossing the finishing line, thinking to myself that I'd have to do that all over again. Doubt, of course, would begin to cloud my head as I entered the next block of training. As I got further into my training and completing long runs that would require me to be out for multiple hours, it was a journey. There were times where my body just wasn't feeling good, but only a few Ks later was suddenly flying, hitting record paces. There were times mentally where I just didn't want to be out there running, only to pass a mental checkpoint just a few moments later, suddenly feeding off a runner's high. The marathon is a journey of battles with yourself, and you don't quite get that with any other shorter distances. Energy and emotion comes in waves, soreness and aches will get to your head, all encapsulated into 42.195 kilometers. It's a special challenge with yourself only. I'm sure anyone who's run a marathon can attest to this. Look, I'm a creature of habit and love my routine. It gives me a sense of purpose and a direction when approaching my days. That's why I would spend hours analysing my next block of training my coach would send me, trying to develop systems that would allow me to tick off all of those sessions. But marathon training can take a toll on your body, and sometimes we need to give our bodies a rest, or even modify our approaches to training. I was one to catastrophize whenever experiencing a small niggle or setback that would see me miss a few days of training. But it is here where I learned the importance of flexibility. Flexibility is important and often an undervalued component to marathon training. There is an opportunity to be flexible in our approaches to marathon training. It doesn't always have to be running. An example of flexibility that I got to witness was my fellow squad member Sissy, who was also training for the New York City Marathon. However, spent the majority of her training doing deep water running. This lesson in flexibility was something that I took forward, training for my second marathon, allowing my body to rest when it was needed and not forcing myself to complete every session that I'd scheduled. All up, I think I only changed 4 or 5 sessions over the course of a 17-week training program and achieved more than I could ever imagine. One of the most significant aspects of marathon training that often goes unnoticed is the power of community. Throughout my first marathon training, the support I received from my squad members, the Indigenous Marathon Foundation and the smaller communities across the country it's built, my family and friends was invaluable. The Indigenous Marathon Project itself is a testament to the strength of community, where every member's progress was celebrated and all setbacks overcome together. During my second marathon training, I drew inspiration and motivation from fellow runners out there running. Whether it was a quick hello, nod, or a thumbs up to each other, that little boost of motivation got me through those really tough long runs. The experience running consistently over this past year has made me realise the importance of surrounding yourself with a supportive network, whether that's in running or any other endeavour. So there we have it, 4 lessons I've learned on my very short running journey, and I can't wait to experience many more lessons as I continue on. What's one lesson you've learned from running on your journey so far? Feel free to leave a comment down below and we'll continue the conversation down there. If you liked this video, you may enjoy some of my content here up on the screen now. I'm Jack, and I'll see you next time. Catch ya!